tell him that he should let your people go. And so many of us, when God tells us to do something, we come up with an excuse. God, this vision that you gave me, this call on my life, this assignment you gave me is bigger than me. And that's a good footnote, because if what you're doing is not bigger than you, it's not from God.
Well, we have, looks like Jonathan Kegler has called in. Jonathan.
Come on.
Tag me in. I couldn't miss out on this one. I really couldn't. There's one little nugget I want to drop, and I'm getting out the way of Giants, because I totally understand that. I'm just playing tiptoeing on the railroad tracks, but I won't be long. My thing is the message to the world that God was using Jonah to give. Mm-hmm. Because God was sending him to preach to a people that he didn't want to preach to, mm-hmm. that he hated. So he was sending him to minister to people that were actually going to minister to him. The message is always for the messenger before the people that he's to give it to. So I think that was one of the biggest things, like the greatest love of all. I always, when I hear that song, I always think of God, because his love surpasses and supersedes anything that mere mortals could ever fathom. And so I have to take you into the belly of this fish to get you to want to go to the place that I'm taking you to, that you need to be at, because your hatred is just so tough. So for whoever is listening tonight, your calling may be to minister or to help a people that you don't want to help.
Wow.
Be it racism, sexism, ageism, religionism. I mean, you can go whatever ism you want to throw in it. You may be sent to heal a people that you don't want to heal. I mean, think about Jesus when he walked and he healed the leper. I mean, all these different people that he healed that nobody would touch. So I think that was the biggest thing that jumped out to me, is that God really wanted to show up and show out through Jonah. Mm-hmm. Because the people that Jonah hated, just think about the flip side of that coin. They probably hated Jonah just as much. So Jonah's like, I got to go in this fire, but I really don't want to. And when you truly have a calling, sometimes you got to get thrown in the lion's den. Sometimes you got to be the Hebrew boys and get thrown in the fire. Because only then, through the pressure and perseverance, only then is the prize attained. Two will be laying in the bed when I come back to get you, but only one will be able to come with me, because only one will want to go the route that I'm going. What if today was the final day? The sky was cracked, the clouds were cracked right now. He came back to get us, and he didn't look the way we wanted. He didn't look the way we wanted. We didn't want to minister to that kind of. We didn't want to be saved by that kind of person. When you're on a mission, when he's qualifying the cause, you don't get to say yes or no. You just got to go.
The wonderful thing, God never asks your opinion before he does it. Exactly.
That's right. Man. Danny. What shall we do?
Man, I'm just sitting up here, and I think that, it's really amazing just how God operates and how he works and how he has his kingdom set up so that no matter where you are and what your situation is, you're never outside of the reach of his hands. Like
never.
I mean, we go through so much stuff, and then, we think that we done messed up for the last time, and then here comes God, saving us from ourselves, delivering us from ourselves. It's amazing. And that whole thing that Bishop just said, or was it Jonathan? Lord, I'm getting y'all confused now. I'm so torn up. He said that God doesn't ask your opinion before he does anything. Mm-hmm. And I look at that and I'm like, thinking about that, and it's like, that's because he really doesn't need us. But isn't it wonderful to serve a God that's going to use us anyway?
Yes, indeed.
He is so bent on making sure that people understand how beautiful it is to be in relationship with us, that he will use us in spite of ourselves, because people, it's a witness, it's a point of witness for us, and he does it in a way that people know, okay, this wasn't Danny, this wasn't Bishop Coleman, this wasn't Jonathan, this wasn't Daniel, they didn't do this on their own. There's no way possible. And so he sets things up so people understand that, hey, this was never even about them to begin with. This was actually about you seeing how God is still able to operate in your life when you think you are down to your last dime. You have been drugged through the mud. You've gone through all of this stuff. You've made all these mistakes. People told you you're never gonna be anything. You're never gonna amount to anything. You didn't start your business yet. You didn't you got pregnant out of wedlock. You're this and you're that, or you're not this and you're not that, and this is not what God has for your life, and you're not doing all these things that man said that you should do, and God is saying, yeah, that you may not be this, that, and the third, and you may not have done this, that, and the third, but I'm still going to use you anyway because I'm God and not man. Your mama's not God, your daddy's not God, auntie and uncle aren't God, your grandmother's not God, even though she prayed for you. And so we can't look at the opinions of other people. Heck, we can't even look at our opinions of ourselves, because we don't see ourselves as God sees ourselves. And when we begin to look at ourselves and look at our lives and look at other people as God sees us, we will begin to act differently. And I think maybe that's what Jonah saw once he realized that this storm was his fault. And he looked back and said, wow, why don't you go ahead and throw me overboard, because I'm the cause of this. My disobedience caused this. And when they saw that his disobedience caused the storm, but then their act of obedience and them throwing him overboard, because that's what Jonah knew, this is what you need to do to calm the sea. When they saw that, then they believed. So in the midst of their own storm, in the midst of their lives being in danger, they saw God in the midst of that, and they believed. And so I look at
something, Dan, is that if Jonah thought he could get away he could run from the call by getting on the boat. And see, what happens is when you start to try and ignore God or disobey God, sin will change your mind, and it will cause you to do things that you would not ordinarily do. So he got on the boat and tried to get away. And so he realized he couldn't get away because he on the boat and God, pulled the covers off. He said, so if you throw me overboard, get this, maybe I'll die. Maybe the fish will eat me or whatever, but you'll get to where you're going. But either way, I don't have to do what I've been called to do. And so I gave someone the scenario the other day. Even in the midst of your trials, in the midst of your tribulations, in the midst of you being thrown through the mud, in the midst of your name being dragged, in the midst of you going through living hell, it does not annihilate, it does not eradicate the call that's on your life. I told a person the other day, I said, listen, take a piece of paper, clear piece of paper out of your printer. Nice, clean, no wrinkles or anything. And I asked him, I said, what is this? It's a piece of paper. I said, now ball it up real tight in your hand, throw it across the room, step on it. They did that. I said, open it up. I said, what is it? It's still a piece of paper. I say that to say for somebody who's listening tonight, you think you've been through hell. You think you've been through the rough side. You think you are useless now. You've been through too much to be used by God. And the enemy wants people to believe that because of what they went through, they cannot perform in the optimal level that God called them. I just came to tell somebody tonight, you are still the same person that God called. The anointing of God is still on your life. It does not expire or decrease because of what you've been through.
Yes.
I don't care how long you've been running. The anointing of God, the call on your life, the blessings on your life, the business. Listen, none of that, the blessings of God does not expire. People always say this cliche, what God has for me is for me. Well, if it's for you, it'll be for you at 20, and it'll be for you at 40.
That's right.
Right? Because you can't say that God only operates in time when what he gives us comes from eternity. It's not limited by time. So in all the methods that Jonah tried and all of the near-death experiences that he had, he still had to do what? Go to Nineveh. And do what God called him to do. As Jonathan said earlier, he didn't want to do it. We prejudge people. We try to size people up because they don't have a church look, because they don't have, they don't have the receptive look that we're looking for, or because the task at hand is not easy. God didn't call you for easy. He called you for obedience.
Well, someone go ahead and pass the offering baskets.
Whew. I needed this tonight. I needed this.
Absolutely.
Somebody else out there needed this as well. Somebody is out there. It's somebody that's one of the men on the ship right now, and they may believe in God. They follow God. They believe in God. They worship God, and they're not doing anything wrong. They're doing everything that they need to do. But as Bishop said earlier, you got to watch who's in your ship with you, because you may be doing everything right. You may be worshiping God and praising God for everything, but your life just doesn't seem to be going where you want it to go, where you expect it to go, where God is calling it to go, because you need to watch who is on that ship with you. Somebody is going through that right now. God is just talking to me right now. He's telling me to speak to you. He just won't stop right now. Watch who's on your ship. Pay attention to your circle. You may have to start cutting people off right now. It may be family. It may be friends. It may be some of your people in church that you fellowship with. You got to start cutting some people off right now. You need to shrink your circle down and watch who's in your ship. You're following God and doing what God is telling you to do, but you're not getting where you need to go. It's a reason for that. It's not you. It's not God. Trust me, it's not God. You need to watch who's in your ship. And it's funny, Danny, we just talked about your circle last night on Business Blitz and the business and an entrepreneurial aspect, but it hits home when we're talking about God, and you're working hard. You go to church, you go to Bible study, you go to Sunday school, you singing on the choir, you're ministering in so many different forms in the church, but yet your life isn't going where you want it to go. You're still struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. You're still struggling to feed your family. It's because you need to watch who's in your circle. Somebody's holding you back. You need to shrink that circle right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that whole saying came from Katrina Jackson, where she said your circle must match your confession. So I think keeping that in mind, we've got to move forward in that and realize that the people that we're connected to, the things that we say, the things that we do, it has to match. It has to line up with the things that we confess with our mouths. hearts. We've got to believe it in our hearts.